How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the All Elite Podcast, right here on the No Holds Barred Network, your source for all wrestling podcast content and more. I'm your host, as always, your self-proclaimed greatest host, Kyle Masters, always joined by my co-host. She's Evie Piggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies herself. That's Tiffany. And we're today joined by a third. Yes. Oh, God. I'm so pumped for this. Here to announce him here on the show. If you guys are watching on YouTube, obviously you already see him. But if you guys are listening back, we're joined by a third, Ant from the Rant Foundation, formerly Rant with Ant. Ant, buddy, what's going on?
What's up, man? I'm like the third man like Hogan, except I'm not a racist piece of shit.
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
Here, we're ready. Let's do this.
Oh, shit.
Oh, God, I remember that.
Wow.
Yeah, so the good third man's here. I'm not going to say or do anything inappropriate. Well, I will say stuff inappropriate, but I won't do anything inappropriate.
Nothing that someone on wrestling Twitter can go back on and be like, oh, you said that 5 years ago. How dare you?
I've always been pretty good at, keeping it, pushing it, kind of toeing the line.
Toeing the line, yeah, right. Good.
Everyone's offended by everything. I could be like, oh, Roman Reigns looks good. No. Why would you say that? He's ugly. It's like,
I don't know.
Sorry.
Tiff, what do you think of Roman? I don't know what you're like. Tiff, does he make the list of husbands?
No.
really?
No.
Why not?
I'm as straight as an arrow, and I'd wife him up.
Oh.
The list of husbands is a real thing. Obviously, Seth Rollins is still somewhere on the list of husbands.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
I don't know. You could deal with the laugh.
Yeah.
I was being fun as fuck. I don't care. So listen, I got a picture with him somewhere. I was just talking about this the other day with my friend, and I'm showing the picture that, when you go to iPlay in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, I go to iPlay too.
Yeah, so you get the professional picture done, right?
Yeah.
So, but you're not allowed to take a camera picture, and my friend was behind me, and I was freaking out. And then, as I'm walking over, my friend, sneaks the pic, right, with the phone. And he's you see the picture, him directly staring at my rack.
Nice. Because when I met Seth Rollins, because I am a shield mark, he did not give a shit about anything I had to say, but he did care about the blonde behind me.
Oh, he didn't care about your rack?
See?
No, and I got one, too. It's growing. I could literally be the spokesperson for Dwayne The Rock Johnson before he had the surgery, because I have moobs.
All right.
All right, then.
Do you remember that scene in...
Rocky Maivia tits, that's what I have.
What was that movie he was in? God, it's going to bug me. Journey to the...
Monty, Scorpion King, Moana.
Journey to the Mysterious Island. That movie with Vanessa Hudgens and what's his face? Peter Malak.
I have a type too. Vanessa Hudgens type.
Oh man, I definitely had a high school boner for her, man. 100%. Throughout high school musical.
Yep. And then Zac Efron ended up being the hottest one at all.
Yeah. Anyways, this is actually an All Elite podcast for anyone confused as to what we were talking about 6 minutes in here. It's where we talk about everything All Elite. You guys know the deal if you are a returning fan. Thank you for coming back. If you're new, welcome. Usually it's myself and Tiff, but we're joined by Ant today, talks some AEW. A lot's actually been going on in the AEW world this week in terms of lots of things. Obviously, with what we found out last week with a couple of people testing positive for COVID-19 and being out, they've had to change a couple of storylines since then, and they've kind of done a good job with the flow of changing them on the go. I can give AEW that and give them credit where it's due, that their storylines when they have to change on the go, week by week because of obviously COVID things, they've done a really good job of that. But I want to because for people that don't know, Rant or with Ant, whatever. I called you
can
Rant.
Just call me Rant. I
Rant.
got it tattooed on me. Just call me Rant.
Call
me Dickhead. I don't care.
For the people that don't know.
Everything.
For the people that don't know, kind of tell them about who you are and where the podcast that you're on right now with the Rant Foundation. I'm kind of giving you a 30-second plug here.
All right, so
Damn.
The Rant Foundation is something that happened 16 months after a show that a lot of people probably heard of, Rant with Ant. I was a host. We decided to go away from wrestling because we had different stuff going on in our lives. We were a show for 4 years. We won some awards, which was pretty cool. Then I actually got to host the award show and give an award to these guys, which was pretty awesome last year. But I missed wrestling talk. I love pro wrestling. I met my best friend. I'm going to his wedding, my co-host. He started as a listener. He's now my best friend. His wedding's tomorrow. I'm in it. The community has so many good people. And as soon as AEW started, my love for wrestling skyrocketed again because I had that alternative for when WWE was kind of boring me. Yeah. I am a Roman Reigns guy. I'm going to throw that out there. If you listen to the show, you'll hear a lot of Roman Reigns talk because we think he's the best thing going in WWE. But I'm also a Jon Moxley guy, a Darby Allin guy, a Cody Rhodes guy. So AEW provides that alternative. And the Rant Foundation is trying to build that foundation of fandom back up and create a community where everyone can like stuff. Ratings don't matter. There's a bunch of good wrestling. Just enjoy it. Japan has some great shit going on right now. Oh, yeah. You got to enjoy all the wrestling.
The G1 right now is very intense for what I've been keeping up with. I haven't watched anything just yet. I've been looking at the results, and it looks like it's been crazy. I've seen a lot of people share different clips from what's happening at G1, so it looks like it's happening.
It's like I'm at work, and my friends are texting me about the G1. I'm like, how am I supposed to watch this right now? I can't watch this.
Right.
I have to go watch it tonight.
But guys, I put his links, or the link for the Rant Foundation down in the description here on YouTube. So click it. Go give them a follow, guys. Go subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. They have a YouTube channel. Just type in the Rant Foundation. You'll find it. I actually have a picture here I made with all their socials. So there you go, right on screen for you guys. There's their logo if you guys need help finding them. Shouldn't have it because as soon as you type it in, it comes up on Twitter at Rant Foundation, and then on Instagram, The Rant Foundation, and then on YouTube, just type in The Rant Foundation. You'll find them, and subscribe to all their socials, guys. So thank you, Ant, for coming on today, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I'm really excited. I know, we didn't even meet through me doing Rant with Ant. We met through me hosting the award show, and then the 5-second rule pod was my general topic podcast. I don't even know if you can call it a general topic podcast.
I want to hear something funny there. We actually met at a different time, but didn't know it.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you the scenario.
Blow your mind.
Was it 2 years ago now, Tiff?
Last year.
Was it last year?
Last year,
April, bar, NXT TakeOver.
McMahon's.
I don't remember anything that happens at McMahon's. I am always I know the bartender's name. Oh. She knows my name. That's how Allison.
Yes, she's the best bartender. I know.
I literally drank 15 Angry Balls, which is Angry Orchard, a shot of Fireball, and my tab was $12.
Wow.
Yeah.
I should have known if that was a thing to order. I would have ordered it then there. But here's the scenario. It was really quick. It was nothing major. Where you guys were seated there in the back, literally to the right. And one of you guys, I don't know if it was you. I think it was you, or someone asked if you could borrow the extra table because you need an extra table. I'm like, yeah, here, go ahead. And I gave it to you.
Yeah.
You probably won't remember that, but that was the first time we met, believe it or not.
All I remember is I got there and I said, it's fucking hot in here, and I took my shirt off and was wearing a tank top. That's all I remember.
I vaguely remember that.
Every picture I got, I'm like, why am I wearing a tank top? My tits are hanging out. This is embarrassing.
But yeah, that was actually the first time. But then, obviously, awesome. I paid attention to you guys. I was watching a lot of stuff. I like the Who Got Next show. I was paying attention to that because I was obsessed with NXT. Still kind of am.
Now you like the better Wednesday night show now.
I'm sorry. Just telling you, NXT mark out there, they're gonna hate me for saying this. It's just become so watered down that I can't follow it anymore.
As soon as it came on TV, they kind of lost that flair. And there's certain aspects where they get it back, but it's just not the same as it used to be, honestly. And I sound like such a mark saying that, you know what I mean? But it's so true.
It's true. It is true.
All the WWE stuff in the background.
Listen, I have a Kenny Omega pop.
There you go.
It's not AEW. No. I gotta give you a little shit.
I was gonna wear my AEW shirt, but I couldn't find it, so I wore Brett and Owen because why not?
Kenny
to represent my Canadian friend over there.
So Kenny just took a big dive. I have him on the shelf there, and he did like a Jeff Hardy swanton. I got him here, but this, you'll be able to see the camera soon, Tiffany and Ant. But this doll here, Tiff knows the deal with this. We were at Full Gear, and this girl had a booth set up, and she makes these dolls by hand, and she was making them all of all the wrestlers. And this is the Kenny Omega doll that she she made. And I'm like, oh my God, that's like the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. She even got like the tights designs to a T. It is so cool. And I
have Trent and Orange Cassidy behind me on the shelf back there.
But I'm a massive Kenny Omega mark.
So-
Massive.
So let's just before we get started, now I'm interested in how much of a dick was I at the bar?
See, I only remember it being so full, the bar, like just from
It
like
was
the
nuts.
yeah.
No, it was packed after more when we were leaving Kyle because we were like in the back, but when you start walking towards the bar,
Oh,
like
that's right.
get out, that's where it was really packed because people weren't able to sit down. So it was kind of that non-social distancing shit.
Yeah.
Back when there wasn't
when
any
life
COVID.
was life, right? When life made
Yeah,
it.
life is life, and if you're in New York, that's just how it is. Like you're on top of each other. That's the way of life.
I didn't know if I was so loud. I remember some girl came and she was talking to my friend, and I took her red Bella's hat that was all like bedazzled. Bella's-
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she's sitting right next to me.
Yeah,
there
you
you
guys
go.
are loud. Like I love it, but I'm used to something.
We are loud.
New Yorker, like that's just how it is. I'm loud too, so I don't know. Like
Us too. It was like we did like the Rant Gala like that weekend, the night before, where we rented out a room overlooking
I
the
seen
city,
that.
and we did a live show in front of like 60 of our friends and listeners, and it was like a private event. So I was so stressed going up to WrestleMania because we opened the weekend with that I was like, I'm getting fucked up all weekend long now, and I accomplished that. I wish I got fucked up during WrestleMania because it was bullshit.
Yeah, I actually remember that takeover specifically because I probably witnessed one of my top matches of all time. Is that Gargano and Adam Cole match was absolutely Gargano Adam Cole. Yeah, Gargano Adam Cole. I'm saying it right. I'm good. I had to think for a second there, but that 2 out of 3 falls match was nuts. Like I just remember the people in our section.
How do I not remember that?
Oh God, that's probably one of their best matches.
that was the whole reason why Kyle came down to New York because when Kyle was hosting his NXT podcast, Kyle got me into NXT, and I was a big Gargano mark for him, and I wanted to be with Kyle in person to witness Gargano winning the belt. So it was kind of like I wanted to be with my best friend who got me into
I
this.
remember kind of
Yeah,
that,
like so it was kind of cool. But
him versus Andrade is the best match I've ever seen live.
Yep.
At Royal
In
Rumble
Philly?
weekend.
Yep.
it was
Yeah.
so good. So
On-
good. All right, let's talk some AEW.
Yeah. Segue.
Watch the show.
Podcast.
fellas.
Rail you back, you guys back in. Let me rail you in. Okay, this is an AEW podcast.
So how we do
We're
it?
getting railed. Hold on. If we're getting railed, I gotta take a pill.
Hey, do what you gotta do, man. I'm not gonna judge you.
Anyone who's listening, this is Kyle's fault because he asked me to
I did.
be the highest version of me, which is my other show where I'm just a loose cannon instead of professional. Sit back
No,
and discuss.
Be a loose cannon, but be a loose cannon with AEW.
A dub.
All right. Let me tell you something. Darby Allin's new tattoo, badass. Love it.
Cody's tattoo, horrible.
Listen, can we talk about his hair? Because it really looks like shoe paint. You know, like when you polish your shoes, that's what it looks like on his head.
It is darker than normal, right? It's darker than his normal.
Scalp just look angry.
Yeah.
It looks so red. It's like you burnt the shit out of your head, didn't you?
Like, stop dyeing your hair. Like, just stop at this point. Like,
His scalp is
Wow.
red.
yeah.
His scalp's red.
It's gonna fall out.
It looks mad at him. Like, I'm gonna call you your last name. That's how pissed I am, Cody Rhodes.
Oh. I actually refer to him as Cody Rhodes all the time. I hate just saying Cody. It feels so naked just saying Cody and just bleh. Doesn't feel like I'm calling him a wrestler. I feel like, oh, my buddy Cody next door.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But we usually kind of go over like we pick a few things before we get into Dynamite that I see on Twitter or I see in the AEW world. One thing that's really cool, like this is we're taking a little bit of a serious side here, that they just tweeted out today. I'll put it up on screen for you guys watching. ShopAEW.com tweeted out these two pictures, one of Matt Jackson, one of my girl Taynara Conti, or Tay Conti now, wearing the pink AEW shirts. Yes, I agree 100%. But Breast Cancer Awareness Month is in November, I believe, or is it this month? It's November.
No, it's October.
October. Okay, so it is October. So it's upon us. Therefore, AEW Wrestling will be donating a portion of its purchase of these pink logo T-shirts to 2 local organizations in the home city of Jacksonville. So now you guys can go on shop right now, shopaew.com, buy the pink T-shirt, and then again, the portion of the purchase does go towards organizations that help fight breast cancer, which is I'm always an advocate for stuff like this, and I love when AEW does stuff like this. So guys, get your pink T-shirts. I'll be buying mine probably as soon as we're done the show today. So get your shirts today. Something else, I guess it's cool to me because I'm Canadian. It's the 1-year anniversary today in history of AEW that AEW and TSN up here, which is basically like our ESPN, signed the contract to to be AEW's Canadian broadcast partner. So that's how I watch AEW Dynamite each and every single week is on TSN. Kind of still a fan, kind of not. They do bleep out a lot of stuff with TSN. They're really on the ball with bleeping a lot of stuff out and cutting stuff out. Sometimes they don't even do the picture-in-picture, which annoys the hell out of me because I miss so much sometimes in the picture-in-picture. So, but I am glad that I got to at least have a broadcast partner up here for TV for AEW Dynamite. So it's 1-year anniversary today. And then lastly but not least, the AEW Unrestricted episode, new one with Miro. I hear some things about this one. I actually read one interesting note from this podcast today that's freaking hilarious. And I know, Ant, with your podcast, Rant Foundation, you guys talk a lot of WWE with yours, and you talk some AEW. Yeah. I've listened to your episodes. So
yeah, usually starts WWE, and then we end with AEW because East is a very WWE-centric person. So
this is funny. So listen to this. So what I read today, again, this is coming from Miro himself on the Unrestricted podcast.
Oh, I know
today.
what you're going to say.
So to anyone that doesn't, apparently the plans for Miro before he was to leave were to have a storyline that had to tie in with the Lana and Bobby Lashley thing, that he had erectile dysfunction.
You're not saying it right. Erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, it's good shit.
You can't get hard. You're as soft as a blanket.
Wow.
Lana's gonna kiss Ahmed Johnson. That's Bobby Lashley, Vince.
Wow.
Are you sure? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good shit. But yeah, he talks about that. So guys, go check it out. Unrestricted podcast. I love listening to those episodes. I love when Tony Khan's on it to hear what Tony Khan. Just hearing him talk about AEW is crazy. How much of a fan he is of his own product is crazy and amazing. I love that. That's one of the big things I love about Tony Khan. But anywho, Rihu, as we say here. Dynamite this week. Okay, so Tiff told me before the show she hated.
Roll me up to the bus.
I'm going to throw you under the bus. You hated the show. So you have to tell us why you hated the show this week.
It's very rare that you hear me say me not liking an episode at all. I think, I don't know what it was. I really can't pin last night's episode, but I just couldn't get into it. Usually I'm so excited about AEW. I can't, there were a couple of things that I really did like. Maybe it was the first hour of the show that kind of killed me with it, but like even the main event I was not feeling at all.
Can I be real? Like I thought AEW since All Out, AEW's been great. Right. I felt like this week I put on the basketball game because you're up against the NBA Finals, and I'm a huge sports fan.
Right.
So I was so not into what they were doing, I didn't even switch back, really. I switched back to see who Moxley was going to fight. But besides that, I was like, there's nothing. Like, I am a huge fan of an all-out brawl, right? I love it. Like, Cody and Brody brawling for 5 minutes. It's fun, but it's like, all right, now we're at like 7 minutes. And it's like, okay, we get it. They just want to fight. Let them fight.
I think that took it out for me. I think that was the one thing in this entire episode that really took the cake for me to say, okay, it wasn't their greatest episode. And it kind of took I think it's the one thing they got to work on is their brawls. Like it's kind of like a trending thing with them. It's either every week or when they do it once in a while, they're too long. They're too long.
Yeah, that was a long one, man.
That killed it for me. I think it was way too much. And then I kind of put a tweet out yesterday. I was like, this is way too long. Insert female match here. Right? Because like everybody keeps saying like the whole thing of that there's not enough women wrestling. And it went on way too long. And you're right, Kyle. It's like every week, it's always something. It's like everybody's coming out, and it's like all the indie guys like jumping into the ring, and it's like
fucking Billy Gunn is always jumping. Kip Sop, that's his real name, is always there breaking shit up.
He's like the dad of the locker room.
Yeah, guys, come on, I've been through this before. You need a lecture?
I'm sorry, Cody, you're too extra. Like, you need too much attention, and I'm not.
Can we talk about that? Because I love Cody, but my man comes out on a regular Wednesday night, and there's fucking pyro like it's WrestleMania, and you're like, it's Wednesday, dude.
Tiff, see Tiff.
But we've been saying that, Kyle. Like, we've been saying that, like, he's got to come out with all his damn pyro. Keep your damn pyro. I don't need to see this on the weekend.
The clip we showed on 200, you were agreeing with the pyro. Or, sorry, 100. You're like, he loves his pyro.
He does love his pyro. That doesn't mean that I love his pyro. But I'm saying that he loves his damn pyro.
It made sense when he came back. You know what I mean? When you come back from not seeing you and you're doing this Death of Superman thing where I really love it and I'm really into what he's doing. But, like, why did you have all the pyro last night? Like, you were just coming out to talk and then walk away and then come back and talk again and then walk away and then brawl and then walk away and then brawl again.
But I like last week when like Cody like coming out and the commentary is like, who's this? Like, don't play yourself. We know who it is.
Oh, yeah, that music's like, who else has this intro music?
Yeah. And they're still trying to play it off when like Downstreet's playing. Like, we know King the song.
But when they put it on TV this week, I was freaking dead when like the Dark Order was making fun of the Cody song, and then Brody comes in and like, what are you doing? And then he's like, we're doing your entrance song, and it's like Cody's like they're doing the Cody theme. They're like changing the words around.
Can we be serious? So Jim Ross probably didn't really know who it was.
To be real, like some weeks I it kind of seems like he. You know what's the funniest thing for me with Jim Ross is when he thinks it's gonna go to a picture-in-picture and it just doesn't.
Yeah. And then you just get a regular Arby's commercial. You're like, okay, I guess this is awesome.
Or like they continue commenting, or like Excalibur, like, oh, and he gets him into the corner here. I'm like, wait, then aren't we supposed to be doing picture-in-picture here? What's going on?
The Crackle Barrel ones like kill me because I don't have Crackle Barrel here in New York, and it drives me crazy. And it's like I want some damn biscuits, and I can't have the damn biscuits because it's not here. Like,
yeah, we don't have any in the East Coast.
See?
Like when we were on Podcast Row at All In, we were driving and there was like a Cracker Barrel like every like fucking 20 feet. But then you come to the East Coast and you're like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I mean there is I drive to like usually Pennsylvania or Maryland for Crackle Barrel. And I took Kyle to Crackle Barrel because I was like,
both you guys. Like I don't have that shit up here.
Yeah, you don't. That's why I took Kyle over.
There's no Canadian version of Cracker Barrel. Maple syrup can. I don't know.
Biscuits, eh?
Yeah, get your biscuits here, eh?
Hey. So
I do admit I say a lot. Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
That's fine. You're Canadian.
It's okay, Kyle.
South Park taught us about that.
So speaking of, I have to watch their pandemic episode. Apparently,
I didn't watch. To be fair, I haven't watched South Park since I was like 16. But I'm down to clown on this one because I heard it was fantastic.
Yeah. I saw clips of it. I didn't get a chance to watch the full episode, so I got to go back.
We drove out. Wait, Tiff, speaking of Cracker Barrel, we drove out. When we were in Baltimore for Full Gear, we drove out of the city to go to Cracker Barrel, didn't we?
Because we crazy being in the city over there.
Yeah, when you're in the city of Baltimore, I'd fucking run out of there too.
Oh, you have no idea. Okay, we walked back from Starcast. Oh, and you have no idea the shit we saw on the street.
Oh no, I've been to Baltimore. I know exactly what you saw.
Let me just say the one thing we saw that made us cross the street. We were looking up ahead. I'm like, hey, there's a bunch of people outside. Kind of looks like a bar. We get closer, and I kid you not, there's literally a chick with a taser on a string, and she's like windmilling that shit. Like, and I'm like, okay, we're crossing. Gotta go. Not going that way. And we're like, I have no idea what was going on there. She just had it on a string, and she was like,
Kenny Omega and John Moxley can get fined, but she can fucking swing tasers on the
right.
I'm good. Like,
no, honestly, I think it was a stripper. I think it was a strip club. I think it was a strip club, and I think it was a stripper, and something was going down.
No, it was a bar. I don't think it was a strip club.
All right, listen, I've been to plenty and many of strip clubs. Show and Tell in Philadelphia. Show and Tell with one L, not two. If you're swinging a taser outside, why am I going in? Why? What makes me? You better be swinging your ass if you want me to come in, not a taser.
Right. Speaking of Full Gear, though.
It's coming up.
So Cody accepts this challenge, this dog collar. Okay, what's up with Cody with the weird stuff, man? He's getting whipped. He loves diving out of cages, like up.
Kinky stuff, man. That's all I know is that
he's
you're
into some kinky stuff, and it's coming out on TV. So I can only imagine what's going on between him and Brandy.
He got fired up for it too. I accept.
Yeah, I accept. Suffering succotash.
IATHCEPT. Accept.
But weird thing is, it's next week. I'm like, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, you got a big pay-per-view coming up, and we're gonna. I mean, ratings war, brother.
Yeah, but like, that means what the hell is Brody Lee gonna do now? You're gonna have like a week or two to build his the TNT championship, the one that Cody built up in the promo this week.
Well, like I said on our show this week, is I think Cody Rhodes is one of the biggest big fight promoters. I think when he's in a match, you generally care because he's so good at building it up via promos and segments. And I think the thing that All Out missed so much was it didn't have a Cody match. So why would you blow this Cody Brody Lee match that we're all waiting for on a Wednesday night when you can do it at a pay-per-view and give it time?
Right.
Yeah, like they could be doing things like in the weeks coming up, or like maybe he beats down on Cody and puts him into the dog collar and just kind of, whips him around the ring or whips him into the heels or the faces, whatever, at ringside. Like, do something to get me hyped up for this match. Not come out and say I accept next week. It's like, why?
I'm sorry. I'm not happy about this at all because it just leads me to believe that Cody's just going to take the belt back, and I'm going to be really, really salty. I'm sorry. Like, the whole point of like AEW is it's a different direction, and I want to see new character. And of course, like Kylo says it, like, I'm gonna be biased because I love the independent scene. She's why she's called the indie queen. Her love for the independent scene is probably the biggest out of anyone in the community. It's ridiculous. Like, I love the independent scene. So like me seeing all the signings that we've seen from the independent scene to come over to AEW, like, I want to see those guys get pushed, and I like what it's just time for me. Like, I needed the belts to come off of Kenny and Hangman. Now they're on FTR, so I'm not very happy about that either. Because I still feel that like best friends should have.
It's like, to me, it's the same thing to me. It's like, to me, it's eventually you have to, and this is going to sound like I'm a mark, right? But eventually you have to stop leaning on the WWE guys. Right. That TNT title, put it on MJF. Right. Put it on Darby Allin.
Yes.
Put it on someone that you're trying to, Sammy Guevara. Just use it to catapult people's career. I think what MJF and Jericho is doing is brilliant, and it's my favorite segment every show, right?
Right.
But they're going to fight, right, or whatever. But how much cooler would it be if MJF was a TNT champion and Jericho was trying to take that? Because Jericho has literally held every fucking single title in the existence of mankind. Why wouldn't you want to hold the TNT title?
But you're right. You're right. But I mean, it looks like, they're be going after the tag team. But you're right that there's so many people in the roster. I can understand like a bigger name having the AEW championship belt because you're putting that on your back. Who's the one that's gonna cover AEW?
Face your company.
Jericho. Right. So you had Jericho. Now you have Moxley. I'm okay with this because you built Moxley as this beast, and we talk about it all the time. Who's the guy that's going to take the belt off of Moxley, right? So
it should have been MJF.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
What other star? But like, in my opinion, what other star have they built that could take it off of him?
MJF. Absolutely not, because still MJF is still very young. I say give him like another year or two and then put the belt on him. I don't believe him.
I don't think Lance Archer's the guy.
No, he's not the guy either. Like, I feel personally that it's going to be somewhere in between, that Kenny's going to take it, and then it's going to mean more when Hangman wins it because he'll win it from Kenny. It will mean more, and it will build Hangman Page, correct? Right? Like, I just think this is the way to do it, because we're all starting to get behind Hangman Page.
We were all kind of behind Hangman when this promotion started. And then as it started, we all kind of saw his weaknesses, right? We kind of saw maybe he's not ready. Maybe putting it on Jericho made more sense at the time, which it did, right?
Right.
Now Hangman has an identity, something he did not have when they first started. So you're right at that Kenny Omega wins this title because Kenny's going to turn into the cleaner, and then you can have Hangman beat him as the face. Because I do think my problem with AEW is you're teasing way too many heel turns. Like, is Cody going to be in the Four Horsemen with FTR? Is Sean Spears? Right. What are the Bucks doing? Right. Is Kenny the bad guy? Is Hangman the bad? Like, so you're just. I think the Elite is going to go heel, and it's going to be Kenny and the Bucks, and I think that's it. And I think Cody is going to start the Four Horsemen reincarnation, and that leaves Darby, that leaves Moxley, that leaves Hangman as your top guys now. They're your top baby faces.
I will say,
because I think that is very crowded. The babyface market in AEW is super crowded.
I will say this though, from what you said a couple minutes ago, I think the TNT Championship, the TNT Championship champion should be MJF. Can you imagine him? Like, picture him as TNT champion, going on all these talk shows to promote the TNT brand, and him acting like MJF on those talk shows. That's money right there. That's so money, because he is so good at cutting a promo and living his character in real life. Like, as a lot of people will attribute to him, he is on the correct path to become one of the greatest heels of all time. And I think he'd be perfect for that TNT Championship, for brand recognition, for brand promoting. Like, I solely agree that I hope eventually soon we see MJF with that title. I don't know how they would do it.
The scary thing is, Tiff and I were just talking, right? And it's like, we came up with one name that could take the belt off Moxley. That's a problem to me, is that you don't have anyone that we feel can carry that torch besides a Kenny Omega.
Exactly.
Because Cody had to make that stupid stipulation, right?
Right.
That now, that we all remember. In a year, it's not going to matter. We're going to forget about it. But right now, we remember that he cannot challenge. So you take one of your big players out of your main title picture. Jericho has already had it. We don't want to see Jericho have it. Let him have fun doing what he's doing now. So you literally have one person, because MJF just got beat, one person that's believable to beat Moxley.
See, like me, I've been saying this for so many episodes. Like, if you ask me personally, like, who would you like to take the belt off? Because, like, obviously the way that it looks like we said, it's going to probably be Kenny Hangman. That's going to happen, right? That's what it looks like it's building to, right? And it's great storyline. And you know what? Like, we thought in the beginning that Hangman was going to be the first AEW championship. But like you said, you hit it on the nail, that it's like he didn't really have that character development, and he needed his time. And when he gets it, it's going to be huge for him, and we're all going to be excited about it. But me personally, like, I would love Pac to come back and take this belt off him, because that, for me as a fan, I personally think that's someone who's believable, and I would love a heel to come in and take it off of him. Where Kyle's talking about MJF, and maybe mid-card. Me personally, following him in the indies for years and watching him go, yes, he's amazing on the mic, but I personally don't think he's ready in ring experience.
He does lack some stuff in ring.
He's still green. That's me. And that's why I say maybe a year or two from now, yes, I do believe that he will be AEW champion. Not yet.
I think, and you have a point there, working with Jericho, because we all know the blow off. It's going to be, and I hate to reference WWE, it's going to be Kevin Jericho 2.0, right? They're going to be best friends. MJF's going to be the one to turn, because Jericho has to turn face eventually in AEW, right? So the MJF is going to pull the oldest trick on the book to Jericho, when Jericho's always been the one who stabbed his friends in the back, or Kevin Owens stabbed him in the back, and you could do that. MJF does that, right?
Right.
But eventually he's going to learn from Jericho. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you're going to learn in a tag team. You're going to learn working with Jericho. And I think MJF will only get better, because I did watch him in the indies as well, and at Beyond Wrestling and stuff like that. And he's improved so much. But even with that Moxley match, which was really good, there were certain spots that you're like, the pace needs to pick up.
Right.
And we know Moxley's capable because we've seen it.
Right. I believe
so there's something with this MJF and Jericho thing. I think I like the idea that they could do something like they did with Kevin and Jericho. Obviously, if that is, Jericho's having a lot of influence in that. I like the idea of what they're doing with the potential of him maybe trying to replace Sammy in the inner circle, and maybe trying to implode the inner circle from within by first taking Sammy's spot, and then making it seem like, he's all like he's for joining the inner circle and all that stuff. So the jacket segment was pretty funny last night. I will say that was
pretty funny.
Wardlow, there was another Jack in here, man. Where is it?
And my problem, and this is my problem too, is stop making. I call him Jack Swagger still. Stop trying to make him happen. I just can't. I've never been able to get behind the guy. There's just something missing.
Yeah.
There is. I feel that too. I think something with Hager, like he at first even when I was there at the first Dynamite in Washington. I drove down just to be part of that event, and when he came out, I had the same reaction to a lot of people in my section where it was like, oh, the big surprise is Hager? Like, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Maybe he'll get
the guy's legit. The guy's legit, right? He's a good MMA fighter. He's a good wrestler. In WWE, he held the title and he had good matches. There's just something with he's like a potato, I guess. Like I just can't connect to the guy.
Seriously.
Like the personality of a potato. That's the only thing. I can't take anything he says. Like that's why they didn't have him talk for so long. But now, even as silent, I'm just still like, they just make him look big and goofy. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah. So I'll be interested to see
Luchasaurus should be their big guy. Like that guy.
Yeah.
I love Luchasaurus.
What about Brian Cage? We'll bring that up right now. Brian Cage with him and being a juice head. You can say that again.
He's such a juice head. Sorry.
Well, Mr. Juicehead, I'll put up on the screen next week, is facing Will Hobbs for the FTW Championship. Now, I need to know your thoughts, Ann, on this. What's your thoughts with the FTW Championship?
To me, I know it has the ECW, Taz, and the Philly guy has to love it, right? Well, I think some things are better left in the past. Like if you're going to revive certain things, make it matter. Like the Four Horsemen being revived would be cool because it hasn't happened in so long. To me, this is just another title, and I kind of look at it as, okay, we have our Intercontinental Championship. Now let's put another title on, like a U.S. title, just to say it's a title match, just to say you're the champion. I think Taz is a great promo. I love hearing him talk. You could accomplish more without that championship. I think it actually takes away from Brian Cage and Taz.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. 100%.
Yeah, I wasn't on the train. There was that big train at first, like, oh, maybe FTW belt should be one of their minor belts. And I'm like, no.
You got 3 titles and a women's title that you can't fucking get on TV. So let's focus on that. Luckily, they got Britt back. So
yeah.
And once these borders open up, a lot of their town can come back over. And I mean, but at the same time, like, Tay Conti looks great. Like, let's use her.
God.
Let's use her. Like, not just looks great, but she looks great in the ring.
I mean, I was leaning towards option 1.
But what's funny too about Tay Conti is in NXT she was small fish, big pond, right?
Right.
But watch her on AEW. Watch her when she was on those matches on YouTube. She knew where the camera was. Oh, yeah. And to me, that's the biggest thing that made her stand out. All of her facial expressions, everything were towards the camera.
Yeah.
And that just tells such a better story. So I get like, and in the indies, you don't teach that, right? There's one camera. You're going to wrestle. It's one shot of the ring, right?
Right.
And that was my problem with Deonna Purrazzo, who's my favorite female wrestler. For the longest time, she would be a great technical wrestler, but her facial expressions wouldn't tell a story.
Right.
Now she's on Impact, and she's learning to tell it because of NXT. So this training does do people good. And Tay Conti looks like, I think, the biggest star in the AEW women's division, named Britt Baker.
I was a fan of her since day one when I first seen her in the Mae Young Classic. I was all over that. I remember even because when I was doing the podcast at the time, and me and my buddy were covering the Mae Young Classic, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually going to do my research with this. I'm going to go back and see who each one of these females were.
That's what we call when we send each other pictures in our chat of hot females. I got to go research that. That's just another word for masturbate. So did you research it? Or did you? What were you researching, Kyle?
I was actually I did a little both, but let's just the second part where I actually looked up, their backgrounds and where they came from and how they got to where they got. Taynara Conti was the one that stuck out the most for me out of all of them. There was a couple that were really good, but Taynara with what she was doing at the time with where her jiu-jitsu, and it's saying she's a black belt. I'm like, okay. Like, she's literally got all the tools. If she can transition that into, sports entertainment, professional wrestling, she's a gold mine. And I saw it then when she made the transition to NXT. I'm like, okay, maybe they see it in her. Then they kind of weren't, like, using her for whatever reason. I think there's just maybe too much overshadowing there with like the Candice LeRae's, the Asukas.
Well, then you put Charlotte down there, and then you
Shayna
know,
Baszler, like at the time, like it was just
crowded the whole thing. You know, Io Shirai. Like, and here's the thing though, and this is where I will say, NXT whips AEW's ass every single week in the women's division. Every single week, I change the channel when NXT's women's division's on.
Io Shirai is like a gem. Like they have a gem with her. If they ruin her, like there's no hope. There's no hope at all. Like she is a absolute gem in the wrestling division, especially for the women ones
and stuff. And it's like, and that's my thing too, right? And this is why I was disappointed with AEW. Deonna Purrazzo might not be the best, right? She needs polishing. But when a name like that is released, why are you not trying to sign her to put up your division, especially with the borders closed? It did not make sense. So then she goes to Impact, who in my opinion has a top-tier women's division.
Thank you.
And her and Jordan are stealing the show in a 30-minute Iron Woman match.
Danny Jordan is so good.
You could have had that, and you didn't. And that's where I think this new company making mistakes. But you're going to give fucking Matt Cardona a fucking five show contract.
Yeah.
No, keep that money to Deonna and build your women's division, because women's wrestling right now is the most popular thing in the world.
Hey, man, they got Red Velvet, man, straight from your mama's kitchen.
And then actually, John just said in our chat, Thunder Rosa is the biggest star in AEW. I mean, she's not signed. She's still
not even in AEW.
Right. She did like a solid. It was amazing matches.
I think that's where the joke was.
I love her. I'd love to see more, but you're right. Like, spend some more time. I mean, me personally, like, I'm very big into intergender matches. I love it. Like, I really wish we could see that in AEW. I'm hoping one day down the line that does happen.
This is where I toe the line, right? Because maybe I don't know what happened in locker rooms, right? But Tessa Blanchard is a top-tier women's talent in the world.
Yep.
I get that people might not like what happened in locker rooms, but let's be honest, we don't know what happened, right? It's all hearsay.
No, you're right.
But as long as she is wrestling,
right,
that could be your Charlotte Flair. That is your cornerstone of your women's division. That is your face of your women's division. Her dad's there. How cool would it be for a horseman stable led by a woman, Tessa Blanchard?
I mean, if people can get along with Randy Orton in the locker room, they can get along with Tessa Blanchard in the locker room.
That's the thing. A lot of stuff we don't know the truth about. Right. And if she did, then shame on her, right? Yeah. If she did, shame on her. But at the same time, as a business person, I'm looking at my women's division, and I'm watching every other single show, even Impact, who gets only like 70,000 viewers a week, is torching me, right? Yeah. You got to sign somebody. And Tessa Blanchard is literally the star that everybody wants up until literally that stuff came out about her. Everybody wanted her.
We just saw her at Warrior Wrestling, too, if you guys had watched that, and she lost the belt to Kylie Ray. And then there's another one, like, you lost Kylie Ray, who's killing it once again back in the freaking indie scene, and it's, like, insane. And she's all GCW that she's showing up as, and that she's tweeted because she loves Nick Gage. Like, what are you guys doing here? So, MDK all fucking day. That's all I'm going to say.
But I think that's where AEW lacks, and that's my disconnect as the fan that I am, right? Because I love AEW. It's literally my favorite show on. Like, you listen to my show, we talk a lot of WWE, but let's face it, WWE still gets 4 million viewers to AEW's 800,000, right? So AEW is my favorite wrestling show to watch, right? I have my favorites in WWE, but AEW as a complete show, a complete company is my favorite. But my other favorite thing is women's wrestling. And if you're not going to incorporate it, I can't sit back and not be critical of that.
Yeah.
There was Brandy Rhodes segments, and it's like, but is she a wrestler or a manager this week? What the fuck? We don't know.
Yeah. I will say they do have some gems there. Obviously, my girl Hikaru Shida, I absolutely love her. She is a gem, and they're smart for keeping the belt on her right now, because there's no one in that division right now that can take the belt off her. It'd be a travesty if anyone does, because I don't even care if people want to say that Nyla Rose should take it back in. No, absolutely not. You paired her with Vicky Guerrero, you just killed her for about another year. You can't do anything with Nyla Rose for another year.
And everyone has to have a manager. Like Kyle, you know, on this podcast, I'm going to come on next week and not talk, and I'm just going to be your manager.
Okay.
Because
we'll put you in the bottom of the screen right over there.
So this is my problem too, is AEW, you bring out Lance Archer, who is a killer, right? A cold-blooded killer. Don't let that guy talk. You have the top 5 promo guy in Jake the Snake Roberts, who everyone loves, who is the perfect mouthpiece. But then it's like, Cody, you're with Arn Anderson.
That's all I hear when Lance Archer talks is a snorting, and it gets me every time.
Yeah.
Like, Cody, you're with Arn Anderson. It's like, that doesn't make sense because the Horsemen hated Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not everyone needs a manager. And that's like Vicky Guerrero. It's like, if you have a wrestling last name, right? Like, fucking, they're going to bring Bob Orton out here to manage someone because he has a wrestling last name, right? Because it's Guerrero, it's Blanchard, it's Anderson, it's all these old timers, which is so cool. Like, I can't wait till Bret Hart limps his ass to the ring to manage someone.
Right.
It was cool when he presented the belt. I thought that was pretty neat.
That was pretty cool. You know, Vince was pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think they took him off with things with the network, right? Am I correct?
They were a little mad.
No, they're salty. They're gonna be really salty.
Stupid. Can we talk about a little bit, because I was really excited for this, because again, I'm gonna be biased. I mean, I want to talk a little bit about the Isaiah and Jericho match, because I fight with people and I'll still fight somebody. You
like
keep
physically fight?
I will physically come and fight you if you talk crap about my boy's private party. Okay? I will sit here and I will be biased as hell. I don't care.
She'll come to you and go,
yep. No, I'll pop somebody. I will fight somebody.
That is our shame bell, by the way, Aunt. We have a shame bell here on the show that anytime that me and myself or Tiff shame each other, we ring a bell, we shame each other.
Them. Like Cersei Lannister. Shame.
But I mean, I know, like, the week before, I was getting so much shit on Twitter about that it was an awful promo and blah, 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 blah. Okay, here it is. Like I said, these are the boys from, like, House of Glory, and, you know, here's TV. You're not used to it, and how are you going to get better? You're not going to get better unless you keep doing it every week. But Jericho made Isaiah look so freaking good yesterday. I was so proud of my boy. I was so proud.
Oh man, that was.
Can I just say how cool it is to see a guy like, I think Isaiah started wrestling in 2015, 2016. He's been at it for like 4 years or 3 years. Like
he's been training since he's like 14.
Did we see him at House of Glory when I came down there, Tiff, last year?
Yeah.
They were there. Okay,
but then when did he actually get like his break in wrestling? Because they said it's only been a couple, like 4 years, right?
Now I'm trying to remember. I'm like, all these shows that I go to are clump. No, Kyle, I don't think you saw Private Party. We did see LAX together.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. We saw Private Party there. That show. No.
So he wrestles for a couple, let's say 4 years, right?
Yeah.
4 years, you're going from the Indies, then you're going to AEW, and now you're sharing a ring with a Mount Rushmore talent.
Yeah.
And that is, if you don't think Jericho gets to pick who he works with, you're blind. You know, I think Jericho sees talent and he goes, I want to work with him.
He said that on a podcast, that if he was telling people just like, hang on, that if, you know, don't think like, you know, we're not using you. He goes, I already have storylines in my head for the future with you. So I love the fact that we had Quinn up against Cody for the TNT championship belt. And now we had Isaiah going up against Jericho. And here, like I said, 23 years old, training at 14. I've seen those videos, by the way, on YouTube. I did. I see those videos of him training at 14 years old. It's so cute. But I think it's amazing. And Jericho makes stars, right? Like, I mean, you're right. Like, you got to be stupid to think that Jericho, you know,
Jericho sees it. Like the Orange Cassidy feud. Jericho saw how the crowd, and I'm not an Orange Cassidy fan. I was in the Indies. I'm not. I'm sorry. I like him. I like him where he's.
He's number 2 on the list of husbands.
That's fine, right? If you want, I mean, I've fucked girls who just lay there like a fish. So if you just want someone to lay there with their hands in the pocket, that's fine. You can do that. But what I'm saying is, I don't see him as a co-main event talent. I like what he does. I loved what he did with Pac. I love that. Like, it's fun. But I think the Mimosa match should have been like a show opener. Not like, oh, we're going to get through one of the worst pay-per-views we ever ran, and now they're going to fall into mimosas. Like, I just didn't – that doesn't resonate with me. But yet, the next week, he redeems himself where there's the street fight, and he pops out of the trunk. And you're like, that's the Orange Cassidy I want to see.
Yeah, like when like pre-COVID, when they were doing shows week by week, and you never saw Orange. Like, he'd come out once in a while, do something funny with best friends, or he'd be at ringside, but he never wrestled. And then when he finally – we got to Revolution and he wrestled Pac, and I'm like, oh my, that like the crowd went absolutely apeshit because he's kept off TV.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I just think he works better with obviously with the reaction of the crowd. Maybe that's why. You know.
He absolutely does, because again, like you said, you're familiar, you've seen him in the indie scene, right? And I get so mad that we lost the orange juice spot from the indie scene. But again, here's a guy who trained at Chikara, right? And like knows his shit as like fire ant, right? So he really does know how to go. And I talk about this all the time, that it's like he really is. It's just a character that he developed and it just popped. And you're right, like you could watch all those matches back then in like the indie scene of him and GCW, and the crowd gets so behind it. Even with
that's what makes it so fun.
And I like having those fun aspects also into wrestling, because I'm like, again, there's so much wrestling out there. There's something for everybody, right? I like a little bit of everything. So like, I love Orange Cassidy. I'm going to pop. He's hot as fuck.
Now you know how I feel when Penelope Ford walks out.
Oh, man.
She's hot too. Shit.
Jesus. I had to interview her, and I'm like, Anthony, stare in her eyes. Stare in her eyes.
Okay, I seen that video. And I'm like, okay, that must have been so hard for him.
It was. I was blinking like I was having a fucking seizure. Don't look down.
Because you know, girls know. Tiff, you guys know when we're looking, right?
Listen,
even if we do the little corner eye thing, you guys know.
And then she did this little thing, and she like smirked at me, and I was like, fuck.
Don't do that.
I'm not dumb. Like, we're not dumb, right? Like, I love it. Like, I'll go to independent shows, and they're like, I love when the guys come running to me and they're like, oh, I gotta give you a hug. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, you just want to like feel me up that way. Like, I just like, you know.
So if I gave you a hug, it'd be 90% my tits and 10% yours. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that.
Well, it's a funny story. When one of the times I went to Northeast Wrestling, right? And I was coming down the escalator, and my friend was like, "Isn't that one of your list of husbands?" And I'm like, "Where?" And I see Kip, right? And I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
Oh god,
gorgeous, right? So
most gorgeous couple.
That's list of husbands worthy.
So
for me.
With Penelope, and I'm with all my friends, right? We walk over, right? And like they're standing in line all like gaga over Penelope, and me, I'm like, oh my god. I was like, Kip, can I take a picture with you? He's like, oh yes, you know, with the accent and everything. And I'm like, oh my god, I can't right now. The accent, the eyes, I was like, I can't continue.
Two things though. Two things.
Oh,
Tiff. Okay, there's more to this.
I'm not done with the story. So then, because of the fact that I went over to Kip, everybody was asking me, who's this? Right? And I was like, that's
New phone,
Kip.
who dis?
AEW. I know, I'm telling Ant the story. And all of a sudden, like, my friends left Penelope and ran to Kip. They didn't know who he was. But because of the fact that I was marking out about him, they all left. So then she said to me, she goes, well, I guess I'm done. She was like,
dude, why does Northeast Wrestling have the best shows? I saw Moxley versus Pentagon.
Yes, I was there. That's the show I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's where I saw. Oh my god, it was funny. I was taking selfies. They're fighting. They're beating the shit out of each other. I'm like,
oh, I have those
videos
videos
right here punching Pentagon.
Me too.
It was awesome.
Funny, too funny.
The thing about Kip, two things. One, guy's handsome. A Harry Potter fan. Yeah, he's handsome, but he's a Harry Potter fan. He names his moves after Harry Potter. That's like 100% like list of husbands worthy in my books. And number two, Tiff, the story about him and us at Full Gear. So we walked out of StarCast the one day, and we're like, hey, we're gonna leave now, and we're sitting there like talking to the one guy that we knew. What was his name?
Moose.
Moose. Yeah, we're talking to him outside, and then all of a sudden, like corner of my eye, coming out the same doors that we just came out. Kip and Penelope, they come up, and then Kip comes up to us, and what does he ask? What does he ask again?
He asked us if we knew if there was any malls around. That's what it was.
But like. It was just something weird. Like, you don't expect a wrestler to just walk out, like, in the middle of nowhere while we're just sitting there and come up to us and ask us a question about, like, oh, where's the nearest this? And it threw me off. See, I'm not used to it because you're used to what your independent scene. For me, I didn't know what to say. I was starstruck. I'm like,
oh, I got used to like being around so many wrestlers that like nothing phases me anymore. So
like that's how I like another. Tears me toeing the line, but you know, like he's still my friend. I'm friends with Riddle. So, like, we'd go out to eat after the show, and there'd be wrestlers. And it just, you become so ingrained when you're going to indie shows that, like, first off, wrestlers are the best storytellers in the fucking world, right?
Oh, yeah.
I got a Cody story to tell you guys off air.
Okay.
That's gonna make you fucking pop, right? Not my story to tell on air, right? So I'm not gonna tell. But you like, it's so cool that like you, and then you see these people, right? Like, I remember I was Chrissy Rivera is one of my good friends from CCW, and I remember we were hanging out with a mutual friend. It's New Year's Eve, and Moxley calls her and says Happy New Year when he's Dean Ambrose in the Shield, who just debuted, right? And I'm fucking marking out because I'm wearing a Shield shirt. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like, it's just so cool to see people just, they're people. I mean, we got to remember that. But to them, they're like, where's the mall? And to you, you're like, holy fuck, why is Kip Sabian talking to me right now? You know?
Yeah.
We're like, that way.
But Kyle like met like Brandon Cutler, like that was fun too. Like that was just a normal experience.
That was like me like going up to like that was like us going up to meet like our best friend because we right before that we were advocating a lot for like his Cutler footage stuff, and then we interviewed him and we gained that kind of Twitter relationship. So like when we met him in person, like all three of us together at the same time, because Tiff had met him the year prior at All Out. While he was actually shooting drone footage for BTE, she ran into him.
Like, where are you? I have to come meet you. I was like,
so we go to Starcast at Full Gear, and we come up there, and like it was just literally again like me going up to like a best friend that I know, and we're shooting the shit, and then he was so nice that he like gave us all this free crap. Like he gave us a T-shirt, a bunch of like merchandise, and like he signed our sign, which I have. Oh, I don't know if I can reach it.
Super sweet.
No, I can't reach it. I made a Brandon Cutler sign.
That's also what I like about AEW is like they still let these guys go out to like the indie shows too, and they're so accessible still. Like you can go meet them. Like you know, I obviously as a WWE mark can go to WrestleMania so many years in a row, and you know, access is something cool, but access doesn't give you that like that intimate like conversation, right? When you're at an indie show, even like when Jericho was signing at Northeast Wrestling, he literally stopped because I was wearing a shirt that said I'm a Gordy Canuck guy. Gordy Canuck's a character he does on Talking Shop with Gallows and Anderson. Yeah. So I get a custom shirt. He starts taking a picture of texting Gallows and Anderson in front of me, and the line's like the 600 people, right? And he's just talking to me about doing a podcast for like 5 minutes. You don't get that at WWE because they're like, all right, sign, bye. And it's like you kind of forget that these people are human because the spotlight kind of dehumanizes them in our eyes. You know?
I have a mini story about that. I do have a mini story about that, and Tiff knows this story. And it's funny. It has to do with Access. So at Access of WrestleMania 30, I drove down to New Orleans with my buddies. We had a big trip about that. I went to Access, and I met Sean Spears, or a.k.a. at the time, Ty Dillinger, because it's from my hometown. I literally went like 10 minutes away from the high school that he went to. And then when he came down, he actually came down to an NXT show in my hometown. And I went there, and there was like this big homecoming for him. It was awesome. But I met him there. I made a sign that said we drove X amount of kilometers in Canadian to see Ty Dillinger, and he saw the sign from afar in the lines. He's like, "Yeah, I've been waiting for you to come up here. I saw that sign, and that's the best thing ever." He pulls out his own personal phone, tells a girl, and says, "Hey, take this picture with us with my phone." So he keeps it for himself. So then fast forward to Full Gear. I'm like, okay, I got to buy Sean Spears because I got to meet him again. And I made him a new sign. I made him like I drove whatever kilometers to see Sean Spears. I show him the sign. Instantly, he remembered me like right away. He's like, hey, didn't I meet you in like New Orleans? And I'm like, yes.
Yo, you went to New Orleans for WrestleMania?
Yeah, WrestleMania 30.
Every wrestling event should just be in New Orleans.
Or not 30. Sorry, not 30. The second one, 34.
Yeah,
34.
that was the best. That was the night. All right, so I have a little story real quick, and then we'll get back to AEW. So I told this on my show before, but I've never done Bourbon Street, right?
Oh, so fun.
So we do Bourbon Street, and my friend goes, whatever you do, he's from New Orleans. Just drink one hand grenade ant. It's the big.
Oh, yeah. Trust
me.
So
I said, okay, I'll drink one. One turned to three.
Three. Yep.
And then 3 turned to fish bowls, right? I see Kevin Owens in the street. I run him down, shake his hand. Thank you. So drunk. I'm like, fuck, I'm an asshole. I don't want to do that. Why am I doing that? Because I was just such a mark.
And pause. Kid you not. Yeah. I had literally the same experience as you. Like, not kidding. Word for word what you just said exactly happened to me. Yeah, with Kevin Owens, except I'm French Canadian. So I went up to him and spoke French, and he did like the what face, and then he started speaking French back to me.
No, he was really cool. Like, I felt bad because I'm like, I was so drunk.
I was pissed. I was done.
I was throwing beats at everybody, right? Everywhere.
Yep.
But So, all right. So we get done because I punch a guy in the face because he steps on my white Nikes. Why'd I wear white Nikes? Again, my fault. I'll take that L.
Well.
But I punched someone. So my friend's like, hey, it's 4 a.m. We got to go. So we go. When I come to, it's 5:30 at a Waffle House. I'm eating a cheeseburger, singing happy birthday to the waitress. Then I look at my phone and I go, oh, fuck. I'm supposed to meet Stone Cold Steve Austin at 8:30 a.m.
Oh, no.
It's 6 o'clock. I go. I take a nap in my friend's room. I wake up at 7:15. I catch an Uber. Literally 8 blocks away. Uber cost me $80. Whatever. Fuck it.
Wow.
Get into the room. All my friends are sleeping. Stumbling. Almost knocked the hotel's TV over. The whole nine. Get the figures. Get back in the Uber. Go meet Stone Cold. I walk up. Stone Cold's one of my idols, right? Everyone our age. Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's the biggest wrestler we know. He looks at me and he goes, rough night last night, huh? I'm like, what? And he's like, I was like, do I smell like liquor? And he's like, yeah. And he just looked at me and he shook his head and went, New Orleans. And I was like, yes.
This is insane.
That's about right.
This is insane for a couple of reasons, though, because I had a shoe incident on Bourbon Street. Not gonna lie, I had Toms, like beige Toms on, and apparently, like after the couple of grenades, and I actually had this other drink called the Hurricane, which they literally handed me a beach pail with a shark head in the top.
My friend was drinking them. Yeah.
So after a couple of those, my sole started to come off from the bottom of the shoe. And according to my friend, who was the one sober one because he was driving, he said I took my shoe off, ripped the sole off the shoe, and just hucked it up ahead of us into a group of people. I was that pissed drunk.
And this is my problem is I'm a bad person sometimes, right? Like I get a couple of drinks in me and I get a little rowdy and I just want to see boobs and you know what I mean? Like that's how I am. It's just me, right? And New Orleans, you have a bunch of beads.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I forgot the friend that I went with is a youth pastor.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, no beads. Show us. And he's trying not to look. So he's looking away. Oh, he ended up leaving. He's like, I can't hang out with you, Aunt. I'm like, I'm sorry. They gave me all these beads. What do you want me to do? I'm not going to wear them.
So the last two things with Bourbon Street. One, I remember going into a bar where it was an upper scale bar. It was on the second floor. We were chanting Rusev Day for maybe about 10 minutes straight without stopping. So that was pretty epic. And then we all like cheered each other at the end of it. And then two,
dancing on stage. I forget who it was. I don't know if it was like Mickey James or Melina. I don't know. They were dancing on stage, and like all the marks were getting in there.
In that same bar, a wrestling match started with a couple of fans in the middle of the bar. We all circled them, and a guy with a random guy shows up out of nowhere with a ref T-shirt jumps in, and they literally have a match in the bar, and the bartenders are egging the people on, like they're loving it.
I'm telling you, if AEW or WWE ever wants to just run shows in New Orleans, I'll move there because it is the best place in the world.
And two, there was the one part I remember vividly, sort of. I wasn't like completely drunk where I wasn't remember because that point hit me at one point. And I remember there's this big group of people like you know how like you get to those one parts of Bourbon Street where it's like a four-way, like there's the ways where they have it blocked off where the cops are sitting, and then you can keep walking straight. Mm-hmm. So there's a big circle of people, and they're doing wrestling chants. They're all like just chanting at each other and doing like one chant after another.
Only wrestling fans. Let's make a circle and do yes.
So
chants.
I'm walking up to it, and I'm like, guys, we have to go in. We have to do some chants. We gotta do it. Just gotta do it. So on my way up there, hitting my feet, something hits my feet. I look down. There's literally a beach ball, and I'm like, oh, this is too perfect. I grab it, freaking mosh pit my way into the center of the circle, throw it up into the air, and I just yell, Beach Ball Mania! Beach Ball Mania chant for like ever after we walked past that. It just didn't stop. And they were bouncing the beach ball up and down. Like, if you guys ever have an opportunity to do a WrestleMania in New Orleans, if they ever go back when COVID's done.
Just go back.
Oh my God, it's so much fun.
Why are we going to Hollywood? Don't go to Hollywood. Go to New Orleans. Yeah, let's get drunk.
And I'll end that note is my friend who lost us at one point in the night, who we reconnected back at the Airbnb. He said he went to a strip club on Bourbon Street, and he said he saw Jinder in the VIP section, just making it rain.
The wrestlers were just all over the place. My buddy's like, I got to go in here and go to the bathroom. Next thing I know, he's throwing beads down from a balcony with Mojo Rawley. I'm like, how'd you get up there?
It's the best.
Pictures with like Liv Morgan and Bray Wyatt. He's like hanging out with the wrestlers. And I'm like, how are they just letting you hang out up there? Like they have security all over.
But I guess if we weirdly segue back to Dynamite here.
Let's go back to AEW.
Let's find a segue.
We have to talk.
The segue out of what we were talking about.
Okay.
All right.
Can't.
All right. So New Orleans smells like dog shit. You know what else? It's going to smell like dog shit, this collar match, because they're going to be wrapped around in a dog collar on Wednesday night.
That's a good segue. I like that. But I want to talk about FTR and the 20 minutes with a 20 minutes with a brush of greatness. They're calling us every single week. A brush with greatness. 20 minutes. They're changing the limit, which is interesting on its own. I have my thoughts about that. But they faced off against SCU this week, which I thought was a great match. I thought it was an okay match.
Fucking star.
Kazarian, for his age, for him to move the way he moves at his age is incredible. And it's amazing. But the one thing that we saw, I want to know, is FTR going to be with Sean Spears with this whole horsemen thing? Because on the way SCU is like making their way into their entrance, Sean Spears is there, good luck. And I'm like, okay, what's going on with this?
I love the fact that we don't really know, right? We're getting a whole bunch of teasing from like a bunch of directions, right? Is Sean Spears going to be part of the 4, So we don't really know. People are talking Cody. People are talking like everything. So I love it that it's like, this can happen. This can happen. And then we could all be freaking swerved, right? Yep. And that's what I love about AEW.
Do you think Sean Spears will be part of the 4 Horsemen, Ant? I got to ask you that.
I do. I think it's going to be Cody, Revival, and Sean Spears.
That makes sense, to be honest. I mean, Sean Spears lives for that old school wrestling.
Because Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, makes sense. You can join them. I really do like my fantasy booking match of putting like Tessa in there if you sign her and have her be the leader.
I said that. I'm not kidding. Tiff, I remember we were talking about that too. Like if she had gotten signed, she would have been part of that stable, 100%. Like you add a woman in there to make it different.
But I'm an SCU fan, right? But I wasn't like the biggest fan of them getting the belts to start. But since then, like Scorpio Sky has just been unbelievable. And when he breaks off into, I know he's been going for the TNT, but when he breaks off into his own, that guy has top star written all over him.
He does.
That's another guy. It's like you have these guys. You have Darby. You have him. You have Sammy Guevara. Let's do something. And I get it's the safe thing to do is put it on priorly successful people. But you don't know what you got until you put a title on them and go, show us what you got, kid.
Yeah.
That's why I'm happy that they're not pushing Miro to the moon right out of the gate, because that guy could be a guy
let him fall
that
back.
could be pushed out of the gate.
Right now.
Yeah. And I think like Kip definitely needs somebody like Miro to like kind of bring him out, right? Because like I feel like we haven't really got anything from Kip. And I think this is like the perfect pairing for it. So it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure if I'm liking where it's going. I'm not sure. What?
So remember I brought this up last week? I was like, could you imagine at the wedding, like, if anyone has anything to say about this, let them, speak now for hold their peace. And then Miro, I object. And then there's like they do the Derby love angle. He's been with Penelope Ford. I know. I only do this to bug Tiff. I don't actually think that's gonna happen.
I think talking about WWE. Thank you. Okay. So.
I think Miro is going to be in the 8-man tournament, and I think you're going to see a really strong showing on that. I think right now people are going to watch Miro because they liked Rusev, right? Rusev was popular, so people are going to watch him. So this is a smart way of getting people to watch Kip Sabian and people to watch Penelope, because now it's like you're going to watch him because you like Miro, right? You want to see him succeed. This is a way you build stars. It's kind of like, okay, Jericho with the Inner Circle. My favorite tag team in the world was LAX, right? I love Santana and Ortiz. They're my favorite tag team in the world.
Yeah.
Putting them with Jericho, it's like, okay, us hardcores who watched them on Shikara and watched them on the Indies and then watched them literally main event Impact, right?
Yes.
Now we're seeing how good they are because they're associated with Chris Jericho.
Right.
So AEW is very good at building stars that way, but I would like to see the titles go to these younger stars.
Yes.
To try to develop, because if they go to Miro, it's going to be the same. And I'm a fan of all wrestling, but it's going to be the same. you're leaning on WWE guys. Well, yes, in a way they are, because they have to. They want to get ratings, right? So your heavyweight title, people look at Jon Moxley, casuals who probably fell out of wrestling go, what's he doing there? That's Dean Ambrose, right? Just like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash did. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash brought people to WCW. Yeah. Your eyes went there. Then you put Hogan with them, and now these two are larger than life.
Right.
And I think that's what, on a smaller scale, that's what AEW is doing, and that's why it's working. Okay, you guys love Miro. You want to chant Miro Day? Here's Kip Sabian. Let's show you what he has. You guys love Jericho and all of his catchphrases? Well, here's Santana Ortiz. He is Sammy Guevara. You like Moxley? We're going to put him against MJF. And they're building stars like that. Yeah. But eventually they have to pull the trigger and become AEW.
You know, it's a damn shame that Eddie Kingston wasn't a little younger, because I'd say should be pushed to the top. I love
fucking Eddie Kingston. It doesn't matter because you have Dad Bod Jericho fucking winning titles.
True.
So it's like,
I mean, you can have
Eddie Kingston's believable.
Just put him on promos. I can listen to Eddie Kingston.
Just put him on commentary.
Yes, I'm for it. I love it. Like, oh my God, it's just the best. It's
a commentary team of Jericho and Eddie Kingston.
Jericho's great at commentary. Oh, I mean, I think Jericho with the podcast experience and everything, Jericho's just.
Taz too. Taz
I meant to bring that up earlier.
Taz has always been great. I mean, Taz has been
the talking shop you brought up earlier. Actually, my favorite episode was when they when they were in Tokyo with Braun Strowman and the club, and they were all getting drunk on
places
podcasts.
I'll poop that.
Yeah. Podcast.
I wish, and that's another group, and I know Gallows and Anderson burnt that bridge, but they would have such fire matches with everyone on that AEW roster, right?
Yeah.
Like Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus the Good Brothers, LAX, I still call them LAX versus the Good Brothers. Like, I love that AEW. My favorite thing growing up, I'm a Hart Foundation fan, right? Bret Hart, Jimmy Animal,
really?
Owen Hart. Yeah, like I have Owen Hart all over the place, right?
I mean the Rant Foundation.
Yeah, right? So, we're literally like, we're getting to see this resurgence of tag team wrestling that I miss so much because it's been so non-important everywhere else. And now you look at AEW and it's literally their main focus. Like, it's almost like the tag titles are their main title.
Yeah, I mean, from day one, I think they've kind of said, like, you know, we want to be the company that, rejuvenates the tag division and make tag team wrestling a thing again. And that wants to be their primary focus. And they did. They've built the best tag division ever.
Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, right? Probably ranked 6th on, if you look down the list of the Young Bucks, FTR, Private Party. They have so many good tag teams, right? Pentagon's like one of my favorites.
Best friends, yeah.
You go all the way down this list, right? And it's like Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. And it's like, that might be, if this is baseball, that might be your 7th or 8th hitter, right?
Yeah.
But then they go up against FTR and they put on a banger of a match. And you're like, this is how good this tag division is. Like, imagine like Lucha House Party having that good of a match. It wouldn't happen, right? And they're like batting 4th for WWE. Yeah. So, it's just having that much talent and knowing how to showcase them. That's the sad thing, because they know how to showcase talent, but then they don't showcase the women. So it's like, you have to balance it, but tag team wrestling, tag teams main eventing the show.
Yeah.
That parking lot brawl main event of the show, and it was the most talked about segment of the week.
Yeah.
You're right.
So yeah,
you're right.
I mean, Dynamite this week, not bad. I mean, next week they have a big episode planned. We have the 30th anniversary of Chris Jericho, celebrating 30 years of Jericho. I don't know how the heck they're gonna do. I mean, even looking at this,
I think MJF is going to host it. I really do. I think this is where
I'm talking about how they're going to show footage from his mid-career, because you look at the poster, the whole entire left side WCW, the whole right side AEW, the middle.
Why can't they use WCW? Because WWE owns the rights to that still.
Oh, that's right. Maybe they have to do his Lionheart days in Japan.
And he can't do ECW. That's the problem. It's
it's going to be interesting next week.
And then they have, obviously, we talked about the dog collar match.
It's going to be fun. It'll be brutal.
Fun. We'll see.
Cody's going to blade all over, typical.
We'll see what happens. But Brian Cage, Will Hobbs, FTW championship, that'd be a swerve and a half if they made just all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, made Will Hobbs an FTW champion, and it just threw everybody off. Won't happen, but that'd be
like him. So
They do, but they need to build Cage as the monster he is, and that was the problem. You put him, you debut this guy and he loses.
Yeah.
To Mox, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
No
like,
Bill, you know.
And then announced
Like at least Lance Archer was killing people in some redneck fucking village.
Yeah.
and announced today another brush with greatness happening next week. But I'm excited for this because we're getting the return of TH2, who I think is seriously freaking underrated in AEW. They're so freaking good together. But they're facing FTR next week for the belts, so that'll be fun. And then obviously Chris Jericho's got to have a match on the 30th anniversary of Jericho. He's going to team up with Hagar against the Chaos Project. They're called. Luther and Serpentico. That's it. I can't even say his freaking name.
Yeah, that's the one. I can't get. That's a feud I can't get behind right now. And maybe I will, but that was kind of where I was like, okay, this is not. I'm watching LeBron.
So I saw a weird tweet though. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago that someone said like, "Oh, Serpentico's actually David Arquette." And I'm like, what makes you think that?
What a swerve.
Brad said that's pre-ECW pictures when he was Lionheart in Japan and Mexico.
Okay. So
That's
resident
so
reporter
hard.
Brad, thank you.
Yes.
Unless
Brad,
you're like,
Brad
this
knows shit.
This is the beginning and this is the end of Jericho, because you're not going to get the list. You're not going to get the Millennial Man. You're not going to get Bon Jovi. Jericho. You're not.
Although, remember at Double or the first one, I know they must have gotten shit for it or something happened. Remember at the first Double or Nothing when Jericho did his entrance, they actually featured all his gimmicks by those actors.
The list.
And the list was there. I was like, oh, how did they get away with that? It was interesting. But yeah, this is an awesome show today. I love this. Talked about
sorry
Dynamite.
we got a little off the. See, this is what happens. Like you wanted the 5-second rule, Ant. When my mind goes, I just.
This is perfect. This is awesome. This is probably one of our best episodes, not going to lie. This was great. So thank you, Ant, for coming on. Guys, again, I'm going to put it on the screen for you guys. Please go follow the Rant Foundation. Listen to Ant and listen to his other two co-hosts. They are amazing. They do a really great show. They'll be live, actually, on Tuesday this coming up, so make sure you tune to that. So subscribe to their YouTube channel, the Rant Foundation. Type it in on YouTube, hit subscribe. Follow them on Instagram and on Twitter. I put the link down in the description for you guys on YouTube, and if you are listening on the go, make sure you come back and you click that and follow them for sure. Also, you can follow us on social media. That's the All Elite Podcast. Good segue there. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at All Elite Pod. You can follow us on all our social media links. Make sure you're following the network as well. Other great podcasts available on the network done by Tiff with Indie Talks. Her Under the Ropes interviews are always great. And some other cool content on there for you guys as well. Also, we're available on the go, like I just said, the No Holds Bar Network. Available on platforms like Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CastBox, Stitcher, Spreaker, Player FM, Overcast, TuneIn. Wherever you're getting your podcast, make sure you're searching up the No Holds Bar Network. Then you can get the All Elite Podcast and all the great ones that we offer. We also have a store. Make sure you're checking it out, a Teespring store. A lot of cool looking stuff on there. We got masks. Yeah, masks for those places where you have to wear masks in times like this, guys. You can actually get an AEP mask. You can get a No Holds Bar Network mask. We sell masks, stickers, coffee mugs, T-shirts. Links down in the description below. What'd you say? Muff Cabbage, yes. Muff Cabbage shirts on there.
They're up there, guys.
Big shout out to Darren of These Wolves. They do the theme song for the All Elite Podcast, Dead to Me. Guys, go check out Darren. He does a lot of cool stuff with These Wolves and a lot of cool looking songs. He actually did the MJF cover song, which is really, really good. So go check that out. Follow him on his socials and follow him on all your music platforms. So thank you, Darren, for letting us use Dead to Me for the official theme song of the All Elite Podcast.
I'm also actually doing, if you guys have watched AEW Dark, I am going to do an episode of Under the Ropes next week with Puff.
Yeah, big Puff guy.
So I'm excited that I get some of the AEW.
That was funny when Miro was debuting and he came out. He's like, no, not you, Puff.
I'm so excited to chat
with him.
Tiff
is going to be interviewing him next week, so that'll be cool. So if you guys tune into that, it'll sure be a fun interview. But yeah, again, thank you, Ant, for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. It was really fun. Like, we got to just do a giant podcast orgy and have all 5 of us on a show.
Oh,
I think it'd be great.
That would be insane.
It'd be like talking shop. We'd have to definitely just drink and just fucking bullshit for 4 hours.
I'm down for a talking shop episode, 100%. We'll talk. We'll talk off air here. But guys, thank you for tuning in to the All Elite Podcast again. Right here in the No Holds Bar Network, your source for all wrestling podcast content and more. I'm your host, as always, the self-proclaimed greatest host, Kyle Masters. Always joined by my co-host. She's the EVP Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies herself. That's Tiffany. And again, today for this episode, thank you very much. We're joined by Ant from the Rant Foundation. Guys, follow him on all the socials. Subscribe to the Rant Foundation. We will see you guys next week back here on another Thursday with the All Elite Podcast. Take it easy.
I don't know.